So I've spoken on and off for quite a long time about the gaming industry and how it's broken, it's falling apart. Like there's a lot of stuff going on that's dodgy within the gaming industry. We've even recently had the Capcom president wanting to see game prices rise, even though there's cost of living crisis and recessions and stuff going on. Like the economy is really, really bad at the moment, and the gaming companies like Capcom are wanting to increase prices even further for their broken releases. I mean, Capcom's not as bad as other companies, but there are some companies that will take that straight away. Oh, look, there's someone else wanting to increase the prices. We're going to do it too. And it's companies, say for an example, EA, Activision, those sorts of companies, they will happily increase their prices and keep releasing broken games. But with the recent talks, I've been looking through the news, and there is an article that says the video games industry is broken and it will not survive for long, and it's a reader's feature. So basically, someone that comes along, they're reading through, they can post their own articles and stuff. So this is someone else's opinion. But I think there is, like, part of the industry is falling apart. So I think this is nice to start discussions about and just have a little chat about it. And it starts off with a reader is pessimistic about the future of the video games industry and worries about what will be left if it suffers another market crash. So in 1983, the video games market in the US, but not Europe or Japan, suffered a crash so severe the shops refused to stock new games or consoles, and most people wrote the whole concept off as a passing fad. It wasn't until the release of the NES, so the Nintendo Entertainment System, a couple of years later that it recovered, ushering in a new era in which none of the previous industry giants remained relevant. Video games are so entrenched in modern culture, it seems like something that could never happen again, especially as the reason for the crash was overproduction of poor quality titles. I mean, we're getting that nowadays. So many bad games coming out. And I'm talking like so many. And it carries on to say that's a problem that doesn't really exist today. Not that we don't have bad games, but nobody ends up burying them in a landfill when they don't sell. I mean, yeah, okay, I'll give them that. Market saturation was also a part of the problem and is certainly an issue now. But the real problem today is the cost of making and buying games. Every generation it gets worse, and now as publishers increase their prices during the middle of a cost of living crisis, it seems like we're reaching a tipping point where something has got to give. I actually started writing this article on Monday after the announcement of job cuts at several different games companies, but I quickly revised it, I hope it doesn't show, when I read the subsequent reports on Friday about more job cuts, including at the makers of Fortnite. And the apparent explanation of all the upheaval is that video game companies are no longer attracting the investment they used to. And I'm going to say it's probably because companies are spending more and more money on marketing campaigns so they can push the hype up for their new release, that they don't have money to spend elsewhere. Most budgets, like if you look at Cyberpunk 2077, a lot of the budget went into Keanu Reeves. Then they got Idris Elba for the DLC. And you look at other games, and like Call of Duty, the games are complete shit, barely any development in them, especially with the upcoming Modern Warfare 3, yet they're advertised everywhere. Like most of the budget goes into the marketing campaign. Well, that's my opinion at least. This carries on to say, frankly, I'm not surprised. If I was a venture capitalist with a few billion to spare, the last thing I'd invest in is a video game that'll take 6 or more years to make and has no guarantee of being a hit at the end of it. And it's other companies, like besides the makers of Fortnite, Epic Games, it's other companies like CD Projekt Red, the creators of Cyberpunk. They are laying off, I think it's about 9% of their staff. There's going to be like around 100 people that lose their jobs. And this carries on to say, and that's the problem now, games take so long to make, you can only get 1 or 2 full games out of one developer per generation. And that means employing hundreds of people for half a decade or more, with no chance of making your money back unless it's either a mega hit, or you fill it with microtransactions, NFTs, or some other scam. Even when you do, as Fortnite proves, that's no guarantee of long-term success. I know it feels like it's been around forever, but it hasn't. It's only been 6 years, which is the average length of time it takes to make a AAA game in the current generation. This industry is clearly unsustainable with the way it currently works. Traditional games are too expensive and time-consuming to make. The bottoms seem to be falling out of the free-to-play market, and subscriptions are already failing. Concepts that seemed like they might be the publisher's next big money maker, like NFTs and live service, have already been discredited, and that really doesn't leave anything but indie gaming. To be honest, a world in which indie games are the only video games would probably not be so bad, but we all know that's not going to happen. But what will? Well, first of all, more and more publishers are going to go under, or more likely get bought out by Microsoft and others just before they go under. But I'd also predict that either Sony will lead the games industry because they get outspent by Microsoft, or Microsoft does because they still can't manage to convince enough people to buy an Xbox or subscribe to Game Pass. Perhaps they'll both leave or become irrelevant. After all, that's what happened last time with Atari and the others. Nintendo will survive, I'm sure, and indie games and mobile as well. But games that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and 6 or more years to make, nope, they'll be gone, at least for several years or until technologies change. Video games just can't keep on getting more expensive forever. Something is going to snap at some point, and I believe we're rapidly reaching that point, but I don't relish it when it happens. And I'm going to say, for the most part, I agree with that article. Like, something has to give in this industry. And I think companies are going to push for so much money for their titles, and the games will still come out broken, that I'm hoping the community of gamers will come together and say enough is enough and stop buying the games. But then there is a chance it might not happen, because you look at Modern Warfare 2, and that created $1 billion in 10 days. The same happened with GTA 5 10 years ago. You get some games that are like widely successful, and then you get games like Redfall, Immortals of Avium, Gollum. There's just a few out there off the top of my head that are complete failures. And then you get the companies that create the games like Immortals of Avium that get closed down or a load of staff laid off. All the gaming industry needs to do is keep the prices as are and just create better quality titles. That's all they need to do. They'll make their money, their investors will be happy. It's simple, and I've been saying this for fucking years. All you have to do is create a good, fun, entertaining, quality video game that's not broken, that's not too short for the amount of money you're charging and stuff, and you're on to a winner. It is that simple. There's obviously like niche games and games that don't attract that big of an audience, but these AAA titles have so much marketing, they're guaranteed an audience. So it's just about creating good quality video games to make profit in this industry for any development and publishing company out there. I've said it time and time again, and I agree, there's just so much like mess happening within this industry. It is completely falling apart, especially when you look at the AAA side of it. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is appreciated. If you wish to support me further as a creator, there are links in the description. Let me know your thoughts about the video in the comments. And if you want to watch more, you can click the video on screen. All support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.